Hannah Kesler.
This gal started her own bank at the age of 18, and then you became a self-made millionaire by the age of 24?
I did.
Hannah Kesler is a money mentor.
She's known as the single millionaire chick.
With advice on how to stop living paycheck to paycheck.
Money. It starts with your mindset.
How you think about your money is going to greatly impact how much money that you have.
I grew up in a town called Olathe, Kansas. I'd be walking out of the door, going to school, and my mama would holler at me, "Hannah, make good choices." And I'd have to holler back, "Because the choices I make today will affect my future."
My parents, they did a very good job about teaching me as a child how to handle my money. We have a lack of understanding when it comes to money.
If you want your kids to have money, you need to start talking to them about it while they're young.
I'm really second generation to this concept that's called the infinite banking concept.
And at 18 years old, my dad gave me the choice to start my own bank that then led me to becoming a millionaire by the time I was 24.
Now you've written a book to help tie it all together.
So the companion is really just teaching kids that, not specifically money, but really important life lessons.
Now being the owner of the Money Multiplier, I help serve over 17,000 clients in every state of the country.
Where can people get the book?
HannahKesler.com. Hannah spelled the same way forwards and backwards, Kesler with one S.
Also, I got my podcast show, the Money Multiplier Podcast.
And make good choices today, because the choices you make today will affect your future. Seems like we're having some technical difficulties today. There we go. Hello. Now I'm big mode. Good morning. Good morning. And the choices you make today will affect your future. Seriously, I have been working on a big talk that I'm doing next week, and it's been fueling my mind and really the specifics of what I want to get into in this specific talk. So I'll share the details when I get back. So just big PSA, I'm not going to be here next week. Money Mornings with Hannah goes live Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. And when I'm on the road and traveling, sometimes I can make it, sometimes not. So next week I'm not going to be here, but I'll catch y'all on the following Thursday, which is the 20th of August. Now, my birthday's coming up too. That's super excited. Don't know what I want to do yet, but holla, I'm excited. I am really passionate about today's topic of what I want to get into. It's been a compilation, of the conversations that I've been having with people and getting back to square one. Because when you start to dive into the infinite banking concept, you'll go down all of these different rabbit holes, whether it's the makeup and the design of the policy and how can I make this policy the best efficient design for me. Or maybe you go down the rabbit hole of why would I want to store the wealth with the insurance company? How do I know these insurance companies are actually safe? You could go down the rabbit hole of what else could I be doing with my money? I could go keep it at the bank, open up a CD account. I could put it into the market, put it in retirement accounts, or leave it up to my financial advisor, have them manage all of my assets over there, and hopefully they'll grow the portfolio. And you start to go down these different roads because the infinite banking concept, it's a process, right? It's not about the product itself. And we all get hung up on product. And yes, the design of the system is very important to make sure that it's designed for your needs, your goals, because everybody's different. But we got to get back to the why did I even start this in the first place, and what is this helping me in accomplishing? Because as I've been getting ready for my talk here, I've been going back and I've been even rewatching the backwards bicycle video. Great video, okay? It's on YouTube. It's 7.5 minutes long, backwards bicycle. And it just gets you into a different perspective that even if you have the knowledge of something, you don't have the full understanding. And he walks through his experiment that he did, Destin Sandland, he's an engineer, of, you know, how we think we can know something, but truth is truth no matter how you want to look at it. So knowledge does not equal understanding at the end of the day. So I really want to get back to the why, okay? And so here's some of the conversations I've been having. A lot of the times when y'all are starting your system, you are super excited, right? You're going through, you're like, oh my goodness, I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I see how this system is going to help me accomplish the goal. Whether it's to pay off debt, or you're buying cars, you're buying investments, buying houses, you're paying taxes, no matter what it is, because let's get back to square one. What even is the infinite banking concept? The infinite banking concept is a place that allows me to store my wealth where it's protected. I have control and ownership over this vehicle, and nobody can touch this money besides me, myself, and I. It's going to go up. It's guaranteed to grow. There's a contractual guaranteed interest. No matter what's happening out there in the external world, I know that the system's going to grow because I have guaranteed interest. And may I add, that growth that's happening, it's a tax-free growth. Every growth within inside of that system and these whole life policies. But yeah, right, remember, we have to make sure that the policy is designed correctly to do this so that we have immediate access to cash value. So hey, if I'm going to use this system, let's say to work some arbitrage, make some spreads on the investment, I can do that through this system. So we get really excited, right? We have this goal, we have this idea, we get super excited and have a game plan of how I'm going to get to the next step. But y'all, this is not a get rich quick kind of deal. This is wealth building. Wealth building takes time. And so you start off on this journey and then you start to continue to pay your premiums. It's going inside of the policy. You're using your cash values. You're paying yourself back. Hopefully, we're going to talk about that. But then you get to year 2 and 3 of the policy and you're like, okay, well, I'm paying my premium. I'm still not quite to that efficiency point yet. So what I'm saying is that it's important to come back and study of why you even started this in the first place and trekking into the goals of what you're doing. Because a lot of the times, okay, think about it this way. People will go to college, right? You're going to go and spend the money, spend the time to go to college, to go get a degree. And maybe you're there for 2 years or 4 years, or maybe you decide to go extreme for 8 years. You want to become a doctor or lawyer or whatever, right? So you understand capitalizing into your mind and your studies to get the degree. How much money are you making when you're in college? You ain't making money using that degree, right? So we all understand that. We all want to go out and go to school, yet we lack the understanding to capitalize our actual banking system and that it takes time to build this banking system. So let me give you a visual representation here. I'm going to add this to the screen. This is a cash flow analysis. All right, the cash flow analysis is a tool that the money multiplier, what we build for our members. It's a free tool. This is a free resource that we do for all of our people. Is that when you have a policy, you have your designated implementation agent that's there to check on you quarterly throughout the life of the policy. But here's another big PSA, my friends. We can only run so far down the football field. Y'all gotta meet us some way on that football field yard line, right? Nobody's going to care more about your financial life than what you do. This is talking about your money, your financial situation. I got my shit figured out over here. I know what I'm doing, but do you know what you're doing? So take advantage of the tools and the resources that are provided for you. So here, this is a cash flow analysis, just one of the tools that we build. And everybody gets a cash flow analysis, because even like the other tools like the map or the gains projector, does everybody get those tools? They could, but it's just not helpful sometimes with those tools. If you're not using the system to pay off debt, you don't really want a money multiplier map, you know? But everybody gets the cash flow analysis. And what the cash flow analysis is it shows you year by year on the guaranteed side and the non-guaranteed side of how the cash value's performing, and even your death benefit numbers too. And really all it is, this just comes directly from what's called the policy illustration. Every policy has a policy illustration where it shows you that, I call it the tabular detail chart. I don't know if it's tabular or tabular, probably tabular makes more sense, but in that tabular chart, this comes directly from that illustration, and all policies have this chart inside of them. So all we do is we just break it down and put it into a different format that's easier to follow, easier on the eyes, instead of the boatload of numbers that you'll see on an illustration sometimes. But what I want y'all to pay attention to is, and let's just maybe break it down. So starting on the left-hand side, it's just years, right? Policy year 1 to 5, 6 to 10, so on and so forth. And I just took a screenshot all the way from to 25 years. Then you have the age of this person. You have their premiums. What are they putting into their policies, their premium deposits? Now, the premium deposits, that's a number that you get to choose. You decide what you want to do inside of the system. So in this illustration, she says, okay, I'm going to do $2,500 a month, which is $30,000 a year. And then in year 1, you'll notice that she even did a dump-in, a $50,000 dump-in. Because yeah, you could do dump-ins inside of policies. You know, if you have a cash sitting somewhere, like I'm thinking about one family I'm working with right now, they have a CD that's maturing, and they're like, hey, we got some money in that CD. Can we just dump it into the policy the first year? Absolutely. So you can design policies this way. So then you got your premium, right? What am I putting in out-of-pocket monies each year? You have the cumulative premium column, all right? Meaning, hey, over the time, how much total monies have I put into this thing? And then you got guaranteed, all right? Guaranteed cash value, guaranteed death benefit. No ifs, ands, or buts. This has to perform this way. That's that contractual guaranteed interest that the insurance company is promising me in this policy contract. Now you'll move over to non-guaranteed. The only difference is the dividends, all right? Dividends are not contractually guaranteed, y'all. I can't say in your policies. Have these insurance companies been paying out dividends for over 100 plus consecutive years? Yes, but it's not guaranteed. It's not contractually guaranteed. But is it a strong likelihood that it will happen? Most likely so, probably. So on the non-guaranteed side, you can see that it's dividend plus your guaranteed interest. So the cash value column, you see that in year 1, cash value column, when she put in $79,000 of premium, cash value year 1 is $69,183. So that's what she's able to use out of the policy for whatever she wants, okay? Because the mindset, okay, coming back to the why. If I'm storing my wealth somewhere, what are the places that I'm looking for, the attributes of an account for me to want to store my money there? Well, when I'm thinking about this, I want to store my wealth in a place that it's going to be liquid. There's not going to be penalties or taxes, or I'm going to be limited to what I can use this money for. So I want it to be in a liquid account. Do I want control? Kind of talking about liquid, but do I want control over this account? Yeah, because again, I want the ownership and the control to use my money when I want for whatever I want, but also I want the control over that it's not going to go up and down, right? Up and down based on external world and what I cannot simply dictate. So I want control and guarantees that this thing is going to grow, no ifs, ands, or buts. That's something I look at. Number 3, I want it to grow, obviously. Why don't I keep money just laying around my house sitting on cash? Well, hey, I don't do that because I don't want my money to lose money due to the hidden tax that's called inflation. But anywho's, so yeah, I want it to grow in some way. And I want to have the protection over this money. What you'll start to notice is when you really get into wealth building, it's more so to protect the money that I have and that I've been growing. So I want the protection over this. I don't want to find myself into some bogus lawsuit because, hey, this is America. Everybody in America, we're very sue happy over here. What do I love to do every single day is I love to turn on People's Court and watch Judge Marilyn. I'll tell you, people sue over this craziest stuff all the time. So I want to leave my capital in a place that it's going to be protected at against lawsuits, court orders, and creditors. So where am I going to be able to find an account that offers all of those different attributes? Oh, hey, maybe a whole life insurance contract. Because if you really compare the apples to apples to bank accounts or your 401ks, your IRAs, your brokerage accounts, the Charles Schwabs, the Edward Jones, look at all of those attributes and see, hey, is this really where I want to store the money at? Am I truly protecting the money that I have? Because protection and keeping the money that you have, in my opinion, is just as important as how much money can I make. Because again, it doesn't matter how much I make, it only matters how much I keep. So anyways, end of that rant, sorry. So year one cash value, she has 69,183 that she could take out and start using. But notice that in the first year, she doesn't have access to dollar for dollar quite yet. And I always ask y'all, are you in this for the short term or the long term? You tend to tell me long term, but you get hung up in the short term thinking. So again, back to my analogy of why do people spend so much time and money to go to school, capitalizing in their education? Well, because they know in the long run that it's going to pay off. I'm going to be making more money, supporting my family, producing more incomes because of this degree. So you understand that, but you need to have the same mentality when you're walking into your banking system and then using this policy, because there is a capitalization phase. In the early years, we do not have access to dollar for dollar quite yet. Here's another analogy you can kind of think of. If you think about the policy as it's almost like starting a business from scratch, it takes a few years to hit that break-even point. So year one, she put in 79, she had access to 69. All right, what's that percentage? Hold on. If I divide 69,000 into 79,000, that's 87%. So she put in $1 and she was able to use 87 cents of every dollar that she put in. All right, if I just started my business, I get it. There's overhead costs, there's going to be marketing expenses, blah, 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 blah. But why am I doing this? Because I want control over my time. I want the equity, the ownership of a business. And this thing is going to start cash flowing for me at some point in the future. So then she walks into year two. Year two, she puts in her $29,000 of premium. $29,000 goes in, and her cash value grew from 69 to 92. You see where I'm pulling that from? The 92,418. So she put in 29 and her cash value grew from 69 to 92. That's a $23,000 growth. So she put in 29, her cash grew by 23. Okay, I'm still not breaking even yet, but I'm trending in the right direction. Year three, she put in her 29,000 of premium, and her cash grew from 92 to 122. She put in 29,000, her cash grew by that same 29,000. So now I'm hitting it. Now I'm hitting my break-even points within this business. I'm able to use the same dollar, the same $1 I put in that year, I'm now able to use that same $1. And then get this, by year four, she puts in 29,000. her cash grew from 122 to 152. That's a $30,000 growth with a $29,000 injection that year. So now I have more profits. I'm taking out more, or the cash is growing by more than what I even put into it this year. So when I'm reviewing policies and illustrations, I'm always looking at 2 break-even points, because then I know what y'all are thinking, but Hannah, over those 4 years, she's put in $168,000 of premium in total, and her cash value is only $152. So what's my cumulative cash on cash? We're gonna get there. So I look at 2 break-even points within the policy. The first one being the cash on cash in that year. Okay, when I put in this money, when does my cash value grow by that same money I put in? And it happens anywhere between year 3 to year 5. So here, it's almost year 3. We're literally 39 bucks shy, all right? She put in 29.6 and she has 29.5. But definitely by year 4, she put in 29 and then it grew by 30. So anywhere between year 3 to year 5 is that cash on cash. That's what I'm looking for. Now, the cumulative cash on cash. All right, over the 10 years, I've put in $346,000 into this policy. When does my cash value cumulatively grow and exceed that? And when I'm looking at illustrations, it's anywhere between year 8 to year 10. 8 to year 10 is that sweet spot of the cumulative cash on cash. Here on her policy, it's happening right around year 8. Year 8, if you're looking at that cumulative premium column, by year 8, she's put in $286,000 and her cash value is $288,000. I'm looking at the non-guaranteed side, cash value. So by year 8, she has access to all of the cash value that she's put in as out-of-pocket premium into the policy by that 8th year. And then every year after that, you can just continue on if you'd like. Each year, as I continue to capitalize the system, more and more cash value just comes to me. Now, I'll put a pause here. Let me kind of look at the chat box and let's see what's popping off over here. I'm going to keep the illustration or the cash flow analysis on the screen. Oh, it's all of my people. Hi, my friends. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see y'all. All right. Does that make sense? Okay. Cash flow analysis. Did you see my point I'm trying to make? Is that you got to stick with the system. You got to pick the horse and you got to ride the freaking horse, y'all. You can't keep bouncing around to these new shiny objects. No. This is not just I'm going to start this system and then stop it after 5 years. If that's your mentality, go do something else. This is not for you. Now, let's just see what happens in the later years just real quick. Do you notice how in the later years of this system, her premium actually drops after the 10th year? So year 10, she's still doing her $29,000 of premium, and then it drops to 7 in year 11. Here's something I want y'all to look at. At year 11, when her premium drops to what's called your base premium, I'm gonna say that for my IBC vets listening to me right now. Good morning, my friends. But what's happening is that the paid up edition rider is dropping off, right? Paid up edition rider is dropping off. And so now we're only putting in the base premium. And the base premium on this policy is that $7,000. So that's why the premium is that way. And really the purpose behind it is that you don't want to continue to overstuff this system, because if you do, when you continue to overstuff it, then you may be subject to hitting those MEC limits and then now start causing tax consequences. And we don't want that. We want to keep the tax-free growth and benefits, because yes, let's reiterate, it's tax-free growth of what's happening inside of here. So by year 11, when she's putting in her $7,000 of premium, look how her cash value grew. She put in $7,000, and year 10, her cash value was $364. So by year 11, she put in by year 11, she put in $7,000 of premium, and her cash value grew from $364 to $384. That's a $20,000 growth with a $7,000 net injection. What is that rates of return? And y'all, this is just talking about what's happening in the policy, not talking about what she's doing outside of the policy, making investments, paying bills, yada, yada, yada. It's just the growth that's happening inside of here. So I'm not coming to you and telling y'all to replace your investments or replace the savings that y'all want to do. I think the policy should be your savings account. Oh, Bubby's calling me. Bubby, I'm busy right now. So I don't want y'all to replace the investments or the savings accounts that y'all are doing. I'm just saying, hey, why are you storing your money there? And part two, why did you even start this system in the first place? So you got to look at the bigger picture and you got to enjoy the journey, because it's not the end all to the destination. Even when you do get to the destination though, my friends, even at that point of the end all, which is our graduation date when we are going to pass away and be dead at some point in the future, there's then that death benefit that will get paid out. And that death benefit is going to be tax-free to whoever you name as your beneficiary on the policy. And that's the legacy and the wealth building and building the family empire that we're talking about over here. So number one, I just want y'all to get back to your why, okay? I want y'all to get back to your why. And if it's helpful, when we were going around, okay, this was back in 2023, we were doing and hosting what was called 23 and 23. And we would go to 23 different cities and teach on infinite banking. And when we were going around doing that, we would start the class by giving people an IBC breakout worksheet. And the purpose of this worksheet, you got to know your destination. You got to know your why and where are you going, because implementing a strategy without a plan doesn't make any effing sense, you know? So even on this form, it says most people never start their IBC journey because they haven't defined what they're really building toward. Infinite banking isn't about a policy. It's about creating a system where money works for you instead of someone else. Before you start, you must know your destination, your definition of freedom and control. And it takes you through an exercise of, all right, what's my short-term goals, my long-term goals? What is financial success to me? Why people choose IBC, you know, and it has you check mark why you even started this in the first place. And then it gets into what avatar are you? Every journey is different. You may be a savvy business owner, a savvy investor. You may be working minimum wage at a job. You may be a commercial airline pilot. You're different than everybody else. Are you just starting out? Are you working towards paying off debt? Are you in the latter years and really looking at protection and legacy building? So who are you and where you're starting this process? And then it kind of gets into deepers of kind of where to start. So if y'all want this, I will send it to you. It's very, very helpful. I have even used this sheet in my own life just to get organized and get correct in my own mind and my own mental. So get back to your why, all right? But here's another hard part about infinite banking. The only person who can screw this stuff up in this system is you and how you use the system. Because remember, it's guaranteed to grow. Whether you use the money or you don't use the money, it's going to continue to grow and compound. How are you using the system? All right, I had to have a stern conversation with somebody that has been around for a long, long time, y'all. They even had policies before they even met us. But they're a long-time family friend. And he just wasn't being disciplined with his system. He wasn't holding himself accountable and paying himself back. And so now he's finding himself in this slippery slope because he sold a business, He didn't sell the business for what he wanted to sell it for, so now the income from that's not coming in. The payout wasn't as high as what he thought it was going to be, and now just keeping himself sustained, he's kind of finding himself in this pickle because now, oh, look back on these years that I've had my policy, I was using it to pay some taxes in the business. I was buying some cars for the family, and I was using the cash values to go pay for the cars. But he never completed the cycle and he never started to pay himself back into the policy. And so now he's finding himself in this cash flow bind and not being able to keep up with his monthly expenses, his living costs, some of the costs that have been coming his way from some other stuff that's been going on in life. Like, it's life. There's family stuff, there's personal stuff, whatever, stuff that comes up. And he's got this loan interest that's tacking on to his policies. And he's not even paying his policy loan interest because at minimum, pay your policy loan interest every year. That is what I want y'all to do. Pay your policy loan interest. Never skip a beat in that minimum paying the loan interest. Because if you don't pay your policy loan interest, the insurance company is just going to deduct it from your cash values anyways. And how they do that is by taking out another loan from your policy. So now you're compounding the loan interest that you're being charged, and you don't want that. So he could have controlled all of this, you just got to complete the cycle. And this is where I kind of like been starting to think about like maybe holding like some accountability sessions, but I'm like, we have accountability sessions. That's your implementation agent. Yet you just ain't calling your implementation agent back because you're maybe embarrassed. You don't want to admit it to yourself that hey, I kind of screwed up here. I should have been paying myself back and being a little bit more disciplined than what I was. So I don't know. This whole system is about you and how you use it. And you also need to understand this system and take the time to own it and master it. And it's not going to be an overnight process, right? But as years go on and you're using it, you're going to pick up and know more things. But this is your banking system. This ain't my banking system. Who's the owner of the contract? You're the policy owner. So your banking system, you got to start taking the ownership, the discipline, and the control over it too. So this is just me kind of coming in and saying, hey guys, again, I will run so far down the football yard line, but you got to come and meet me some part of the way. So this is the hard part of the infinite banking concept, is being disciplined and staying on track of what you're doing, because we want to fall back into our comfort and the laziness. And it's okay to skip a few months not looking over my stats because I'm having fun right now, or I'm just too busy. There's too much stuff going on. I know, I get it, and sometimes you got to take some breaks for a little bit, but you got to come back to center here of why you started this, and are you being disciplined with this system? Because if you do, you're going to go from feeling stressed to feeling more secure. I don't know about y'all, but I just can't fathom, I can't fathom not wanting to pay my policy premium. And honestly, it's just my mindset. It's just my mindset and how I've trained my mindset to think. Policy premium is very, very important to me. So I make sure I always am prepping and paying my policy premium because I want that. I want these numbers. I want to continue to compound over and over and over again, use my money, grow it tax-free, and have it be somewhere where it's protected and nobody can touch my capital but me. So I just have the mindset where I'm making it a priority to pay my premiums, prep for when premiums come due, and then also pivot. If I'm seeing some things that I need to make some pivots, I'm going to be humble enough to say, all right, girl, that was a stupid ass decision. Why'd you do that? Let's make some pivots now, So you just got to get real with yourself. And last thing I'll say before I'll let y'all go, because I got some stuff I got to do. I got to really work on my talk. I'm deep into my talk right now. But I heard something that really helped me identify how honest I was being with myself in the different areas of my life. you've all heard like the 6 circles of life, right? Like you have your faith circle, you have your personal circle, you have your relationship circle, your money circle, your business circle, right? You have those different circles of your life. And if you were to ask yourself of each circle in your life, how much effort, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much effort am I actually putting into this circle? And being honest with yourself, it kind of removes the crud of, oh, I think I'm doing good. No, just be real. How much effort are you actually putting towards that goal? If you're telling yourself, Hannah, that you want to gain muscle, feel better, have more energy, how much effort are you putting into that fitness circle of your life? Is it really an 8 of what you're telling yourself? Is it more like a 5? You just got to be real with yourself. And I think when you ask yourself, how much effort are you putting into that specific scenario, then you can get real and you can start seeing, okay, I got to maybe make some adjustments, or I got to have this circle go a little bit higher this month or even this year. Because it's never work-life balance. It's all about the integrations. You know, some days or some months and seasons of your life, you got to have your professional circle be higher, and some months and seasons you got to have your family life be higher, because maybe you have a mother that's, you know, getting older and they need help or whatever, right? Anywho, that's my thoughts for today. Hopefully I'm not coming in too harsh on y'all. But it's just something that I've been thinking about. It's important to talk about, because we can all talk about the positivities of infinite banking all day long, but let me tell you what I'm seeing out there and how y'all are using this system. And it's not a whole lot of you. A lot of you guys are great using this. But there's some of you that we could use some work. So I'll leave y'all with this one quote. Money is going to flow and grow to where it's respected to. So be disciplined with it. If once you pay a debt off, take that monthly money that you were sending to the debt, pay it back to yourself. If you go pay your property taxes coming up with the policy money, pay the property tax, but then save back up. Make monthly payments back to your system. If you're going to go buy a car, treat your banking system like if you were to go take a loan from any other bank. Pay yourself back and charge yourself interest, because money's going to flow and grow to where it's respected to. All right. Thank you for being here for another episode. Again, I'm not going to see y'all next week. However, what's upcoming? We have Atlanta, Georgia, my friends, on the 15th of August. I will meet you out there. The event is very close to the airport, so that's the vicinity of where it's around. Come and meet me if y'all are in the Atlanta area. And then we'll be back to Florida, and then we got our family trip after that. Florida Keys, baby. It's lobster season. It is August. Hello, August, middle of summer. Let's do a little check-in. How's everybody feeling? I know it's summertime. Maybe the kids are home. It's a little chaotic around the household, but are you taking care of yourself? Make sure you are, all right? You are your number one asset. Treat yourself as your number one asset. And I will see y'all not next week, but the following week. All right, have a good day. Catch you then.